Good morning, everybody. Today's the day we're going to try to put this fencing up. We bought it from FFC Fencing out of, I would say, Lowell or Cedar Lake, Indiana. I'm not exactly sure where they're located, but anyways, I'm so tired of putting barricades up and stopping, just protecting the pool. So anyways, the couple weeks just to wait for this was a pain, but we did check our local codes. We understand the heights that we need. We went a little bit taller on the fence than we need. We're going with a black aluminum fence. It's on the trailer still, so the girls and I are going to go unload it off the trailer. We're going to lay it out. I'll show you a little bit my plan to keep it straight and then how we'll attach it to the concrete. We'll get it in, and if we have time, we'll put the gates and hinges on. If not, we may just mount the gates and we'll worry about the latches a little bit later, but here we go. My forks can't reach this pallet the way they put it on here, so I'm just pulling this plastic away to see where the actual wood on the pallet is. Alright, so this is what the wood on the pallet looks like. There's these two support members here. So I'm going to grab one of them and see if I can pull this back to myself. And I've got a tool for that. So this is basically like a pallet puller. So what happens is, once you set this on the sides of that wood, it'll grab, and the more you pull, the tighter that will get. Okay? So we'll open this up, set it on here, let it grab. There it goes, it's grabbing. Okay. And I'll take my clevis here, and I'll just wrap this around my forks. In here, I think this is a 5/8 clevis made by Crosby. Alright, that should be good. Now we're just going to pull. We'll see if we can pull this back. Since I'm not pulling in the middle, I know it may get a little crooked, but it'll at least get it back to the back of this trailer. Now I will tell you this, anytime you're pulling on your truck, either have somebody sit there and hold the brake, that's 4-wheel disc brakes, or I recommend that you hit the e-brake on the truck, and that should lock the pads on the calipers. And the reason for that in the truck is really, when you put a truck in park, it's just a parking pin, and you can break that thing dragging things off trailers. So in this case, we went ahead and just set the parking brake. Now we'll pull this off, and we shouldn't do any damage to the truck or the materials. Metal piece right here, so I'm not going to try to force the pallet over that. I'll just take this off and use my forks to work it out the rest of the way. So I would just push in on this, and that releases it, opens the teeth, and I can take it right out. Throw that off to the side, and then we'll finish unloading. Paige, Addison, I'll have you guys cut this open and unwrap all the plastics. Today, these are the tools I think I'm gonna need. We've already used the knife and the snips to be able to just cut and open the pallets. We also use my hammer for that. We've got an impact drill here just so we can put the lags or the tap cons into the concrete. I've got this saw here. It's a metal cutting saw. It's got some guards on it, and it's a see-through and some of that, so I can actually cut the aluminum if I need to fit. I've got a hammer drill here. These are the hammer drill bits. These are 3/16, and if you look, when you actually buy your tap cons, they recommended 1/4 inch diameter. But you'll see right here the 3/16 is the actual drill bit that you need. They do include one, but I've got another one here. I cannot remember the name. It might say on here. Yeah, SDS. There you go. So this is an SDS Plus bit, which is what fits in here. So it's just a quick attach. It's really nice. They also told me that I needed some number 2 bits to be able to screw the pieces together, so I've got those. And then when you set the post down, especially on stamped concrete, it could be a little bit unlevel. So what I did was I picked up some washers. These are stainless steel so that they won't rust and leak and make stains on the concrete. But I've got these, and I can actually layer those in to kind of self-level these posts a little bit if needed. So I think that's all you would need, and then the chalk line. So we'll come through. I'm going to use my speed square, which I didn't get out yet, but I'll use my speed square here just so I have a good 90-degree measurement here from the side of the sidewalk. I want to stay off of the sidewalk, just the edge of the sidewalk just a little bit so I don't crack it. So if we walk over here, what I'll end up doing, I'll start at the edge of the concrete right here by the building, and I'm going to put my speed square on here. And I think I want to stay, I'll keep the edge of the post two inches off of the concrete edge. So I'm going to draw a line right here. I'm going to draw it a little thick, and I'll put a little tail on it just so I can find it. So we'll mark 2 inches here, then we'll mark 2 inches down there, and then we'll take this chalk line and we'll snap a line so that we have a nice straight edge for each and every post as we go down. You girls ready? Yep. All right. So we've got all the posts laid out. All the end posts, and then what I would call the continuous posts. We've got them all held back a little bit. We're going to go through now. We're going to measure off the concrete. And we're going to chalk some lines with a chalk line so that we have a nice straight line going through here. And then we'll start drilling and setting posts. I think it's that easy. Tap this chalk line so that I can push chalk onto that string. I want to keep that line full of chalk so we can see it real good. Go ahead, Addison.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready? All right. We're going to chalk this one. Addison's running all the way past, and you'll see how I'm going to run mine past my mark as well. So this is going to be a little bit hard to see, but we've marked 2 inches right here from the edge. See that? Now I'm going to hold my chalk line over it, but I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to run it all the way to the edge here. That way we have a good corner mark where our chalk is supposed to be, okay? So now we'll flip this line. All good, Addison?
Yeah.
Okay. And then that makes a nice little mark. All right. There's our line. We'll run past so we get a nice edge, and then snap it. Good?
Yeah.
Section here, every time there's a bend, we kind of have to start new. So what I'm thinking here, because we have essentially an end post here, and then we've got a center post, and then we've got an end post. So this is one section where the angle doesn't change right in here. So if I started at this section right here, I want to measure. So Addison, could you help me? I'm going to have Addison hold me on this blue line right here. Just hold me on that corner, hon. And I need to measure these gates a little bit, or these fence panels one time just to see. But I've got about 10 foot 2 1/4 to here. So I could set this halfway and do like 5 foot 1 1/8. I mean, I could split it in half. And I think I will. I think it would bother me. I think I'd rather just cut the panels, because we could run 6 foot and then have a 4 foot section. half of 10 foot 2 1/4 would be 5 foot 1 1/8. Okay. So I'm going to make a mark right here. This will be center of the post. Okay. So you can see here there's holes in 2 sides. I don't want to turn it this way because that doesn't do me any good, but I want to turn it this way. And I will set it, if you come around here, Nicole. Now that I've got a mark, I'm going to set it the post center of this line and on our blue chalk line that we made. And then what we'll do is we'll drill holes and we'll mount this post on. Now, this post is a little unlevel because of just the concrete, how it rocks. So that means I will have to use some washers to level that in. But let's get our first post mounted center and we'll go from there. Okay, we've gotten one straight run done. We did an angle, which is where the gate's gonna be. And then we started this next run. This was about 14 feet, so we ended up dividing this out 4 foot and some change for these 3 pieces. And then we're getting ready for the long straight run, which should be pretty easy. So, few things that we've learned. One, you need to get your post in and get it pretty level. If you've got a partner or somebody that can help you run the level while you slide washers under there, I think it's good. What you see here is I went ahead and put washers. I think you could probably do it maybe the lazy way and slide the washers under here, and I just don't feel good about that, so I made sure that the washers actually lined up in the holes with these tap cons. I do like using the smaller diameter tap cons because it gives the post a little bit of flexibility when you're trying to line it up and actually tighten it down. One thing we found is if you come in here, you can see anytime you cut the little plastic clips off from the pre-mades, the screw right here, all I did was take a self-tapping screw and stick it in the top here, and that keeps that solid so it doesn't slide back out. On the other side, come on over here, you'll see that we use the actual clips they have, so that clip is nice and tight there, but then when you cut off a clip to get a different length, you need to just put a screw in here so that it can't slide back out. But it stays tight. It really is a firm fence. I'm super impressed with it so far. We did learn a little bit. We got a little close. Let me see if I can find the one. Okay, here's a great example. It's an odd angle. It's maybe a 45, whatever this is. So what they do is they have you put these clips on. If you're not careful in any one of these, when you cut this fence, look how close this gap is right here. One of these, you got to have enough fence, you got to have enough horizontal rail to extend past and go inside of either the post or one of these angles here, okay? I'm going to show you another example of that where it was really close. Right here. So on this one, that post landed, this vertical rod landed right next to the post. Now if you slide inside, you can see that I butted those together nice and tight. So that worked out pretty perfect, and I put a screw at each side. When tightening the bottoms, you can't get in here to put a vertical screw. So what I've been doing is actually taking just a black screw and just putting it in the side right there. You really can't see it. And it tightens that up so the bottom doesn't move on you at all in the post. So this thing feels really firm. We're going to continue to run this straight run, and then we got a little bit over there at the gates. I think, I've had to cut just about every piece here because nothing is divisible by 6 up to this point. So it's taken me just maybe almost an hour longer than I thought. But over here, I'm going to run 6s, and then I'll just leave the change, whatever's left at the end. So we'll get back to it. Okay, this is one of those pieces that's for it's not basically a 180-degree angle or a straight line. This would be, looks like it goes up to 45 degrees. I'm not exactly sure. But these have to line up across and grab these horizontal rails that come through here. I eyeballed a couple, and then I kind of thought, man, why aren't we measuring these? So I started measuring, and the top of this one should be a 1/2 inch down. So I've got that mark. The next mark is 5.5. So I'm going to put a mark right there. And then all I've got to do is set this with that 5.5, and that'll line everything up, it appears. And then the next one is 45 and a half. So I'll get these marked, get them screwed on. It's just 2 self-tapping screws with a square drive that screws into that aluminum. Doing here, if you look underneath here, there's a small clip. There's a retainer clip, so when it goes in this hole, it pushes in and then catches. It won't come out, okay? So we're gonna go through and push these in. Now these fences are kind of cool because they kind of do this. See how they kind of rattle or back up? See how they rack? Can you see that? Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna get the bottom in first. That just pushes in, okay? Now look, see how it pulls out? Now we can come up to the top and see how these kind of rack. They just rotate in, which is really nice. Slide them both in, then pull them out. And we keep them tight, and that's what keeps the fence from feeling jiggly, okay? Then we come over here. And we get a fence post. Now this is one of the middles, I call it, because there's a hole on each side, okay, where I can run both ways. So I'm going to slide this one in at the bottom again. And in this case, I'm going to slide the top of the column out and push the bottom in first again. And then I'm going to work my way up to the top, okay? Once these are in, I'm going to pull out nice and tight. I'm pulling the slack out of that post and this post, okay? Now, your mom's going to put a level on this, and she's going to tell me, actually before she puts a level on it, I'm going to come in with a marker and I'm going to mark each hole here, okay? Just so I know where to drill. Super hard to drill with this big fence post in the way. So I've actually been sliding this, in this case for the video, I'll slide it out and it'll stand for me because it's loosely connected. And your mom's got a blower, keeps things clean for me, and I just set my drill bit right, my hammer drill bit right on the dot that I just made. Now one thing I do when I drill this is I know that the post is here and I got to run screws in. So when I set my drill bit here, I actually lean it a little bit, just slightly, so that when I run my screw in, it's keeping the gun away from the post. So that's just I don't know if that's a pro tip, but it's something that's made it easier on me. All right, now your mom's going to check for level, and that'll tell me where I need to put washers. I've got these bigger washers, and then I've got some smaller washers, and the big ones are just a little bit wider than the smaller ones as far as thickness, the gauge, and that helps when you're trying to level these in. These little adjustments really help on this concrete. With stamped concrete, there's lots of adjustments that need to happen. All right, which way are you going?
I'm going towards the pool.
Okay.
Like here.
All right, so if she's going towards the pool with the top, that tells me that these can probably be screwed straight down. So I'm going to screw them. And I like to, if I can, start all or most of my screws so that they actually fit in the hole. Okay, so those aren't completely down. I'm going to have Nicole look at it one more time, and then I'm going to take these washers and start trying adjustments. So make it level,
okay,
and you can see
towards you. Right there. Like
okay, so you can see I'm just sliding the washers in until I can put the screw in the hole right there. Okay, and this one over here, see, I can't fit it in, and she's holding it dead level. So I will give this a shot using the small washer, and small washer doesn't fit. So I'm going to try it with just this adjustment, and we'll screw it down and see how the level looks. Okay, how do you feel, Nicole? And then we're just checking this level in and out.
Okay, so has to go towards you a little bit, like that.
Okay, so that means the top's got to come to me?
Yeah.
Okay, so that tells me that this washer was too much. So we're going to back it out, and we'll try a smaller washer. Give it a little push. All right, and then they're lined up. And I'll see what she says here now.
Still could go towards you a little more.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe no washer. All right, I'll take the washers out, put a screw in it. I might put this washer on the top because I keep tightening it. Ooh. Okay, what do you got?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so now I'm going to loosen this one because I don't like, if they're off center too much, this just gives a little bit more flange on the top. I haven't been doing on all of them, but just the ones I think could use it. All right, Nicole, can you check the level the other way? It should be pretty close. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Perfect. Once you get these level, once you get one post level, these are made identical, so they just run level the other direction, so that's good. Still feel pretty good?
Oh, no, it went too much now.
Too much?
Mm-hmm. It's on the line at the pool.
Okay.
Maybe a little one in there.
All right. All right, so Nicole is just, whoa,
All right, just a little bit.
yeah, that's way more than I need. All right. Nicole gives it a little bit of a lean just to help me get in there. We've kind of learned how to do that together. All right, how's that? Good?
Good.
All right. Good deal. If these aren't level, if you come down here, Addison, these will start running crooked, but you can see that fence is running pretty bone straight. Right at the end, it kicks out, but that's because of those brackets and how they're mounted, and I had a crack in the concrete, so I had to be a little bit off. But yeah, this is running really straight, these last two panels. So we'll finish the last few panels, and then we'll be able to put some gates on. Okay, we've got all the main fence up now. We've tied them all together, and we've got all of our tap cons in, and all of our door, well, not our door, but our gate posts are perfectly plumb and ready for the gates. So all we got to do is put the gates on, and then there's caps that go over these. They kind of just slide on and screw to each other. It looks like, I haven't even opened the package yet, but it looks like that. And then there's a cap that goes on the top of these, each post, and then we're done. So we're gonna go see great grandma and great grandpa now. We'll put a temporary barrier over here, but we're gonna get cleaned up, and we'll come out here maybe in the evening this upcoming week and finish the job. All right, good morning everybody. This will be a continuation of the last video, but we took a break. We were hot. We needed to go see our family and still spend some time with them, which we really enjoyed, and we're back, and we want to do some gates on the front and the back. So what I did was I went through and tried to figure out how to do the gates. So I did the back gate, and I have a better understanding of how to do that. Now we're going to go to the front where it really matters, and put this up. So this would be a pretty good how-to, because there's not very clear instructions on what to do, so from the manufacturer. But the things you're going to need are basically right here. You guys can pause the video on this, but you're going to need some kind of a soft blow hammer, just a rubber mallet, so you can put these caps on the top of the fence. Tape measure, a knife so you can open the packages. I did need an extension for a couple spots when I was putting the latch in place. You're going to need a 3/8 hex drive bit, a Phillips bit, a marker. I'm using red because we're working on black materials. You will also need a pencil to be able to mark on some of these because the marker won't reach all the way in that hole. You will need a 1/8 drill bit, and you will need a 5/8 drill bit, which is make sure you've got one of those because most sets only go up to a 1/2 inch. So this is like 2 sizes bigger than that, depending on your increments. I call this just a number 2 Phillips screwdriver. 2 3/4 inch wrenches to tighten down the hinges, and I've got a pair of side cutters here. And then you'll need your drill, a speed square, and your impact. So we'll get over there and we'll get started. The first thing we want to do is unpack the gate and get it up into the opening, and we'll put the caps on as well. So these are the caps. They're just a friction fit, so they just fit right on top. I say get them as close as you can to straight, and then take your rubber mallet and just tap them down. And you can feel when it's seated, it sounds different and feels different. So we'll get this one on here as well. All good. Now we'll unbox the gate. Now we need to put hinges on here, so we'll go over there to the sawhorses, okay? Okay, here's the hinge that they provide. This has some holes in it. This is for tensioning it if you want to do a self-close. We'll go over that in a little bit. Our gate we made smaller than the opening, so what I'm doing is just unscrewing these hand tight just to move this in a little bit. So that's just hand tight, still kind of loose. This side here, the hinge assembly goes with the gate pole, not the gate, but the post. And then this side goes on the gate. So when I was looking at this, I thought it would be best if we just aligned this bolt up with our top rail. I think you can put this anywhere you'd like, but that's what we're going to go with. On the other gate, what we did was we put this here and we measured down, and this happened to be 4 1/8 inch to the top of the hinge, and then we measured from here 4 1/8 inch to the bottom hinge. So we'll go ahead and measure these and then get them marked and get these screwed on. And I'm going to pull my measurements from bottom to top. And the other was 39 inches. Okay. And in both cases, that is the bottom of my hinge. So now, just to make sure that hinge stays as straight as possible, I'll go ahead and square these marks. Okay, and you know what? I'll go ahead and square them down too, since they do come across the inside. Alright. In this bag, they give you the screws and they give you an indication of what to do for that tensioner, but there is no instructions on how to actually put these screws in. So you could probably pre-drill these, but these do have a self-tapping head on them, which means it'll drill for itself, and since we're going into aluminum, I'm going to trust that that's going to work with the 3/8 head on it. So we'll start screwing these on. It's already been loosened up. I gave myself about 3/4 of an inch of flexibility there. I'm aligning the bottom of the hinge with my line. I place the first screw. Okay. And the next screw. Alright, now when I put this screw on this side, I can choose to put the screw in the center of that hole, or I can offset it down, and what that does is when it drills, it'll actually bring the pressure here so it doesn't accidentally push this hinge off that corner. Okay, so I'll start my screw down kind of in the bottom of this hole, and see how it's not touching at the top and it's touching at the bottom, and we'll just cinch it up. Then I'll do the other side here. And that gives you a nice clean corner, if you can catch that on the camera. That's a little bit of a burr. But that gives you a nice clean corner, nice and tight. Okay? Now we'll do the other one. Again, loosen this up, give myself about 3/4 of an inch. Because I think we made the gate about 1.5 inches wider than it needed to be. All right. Tip, if you just keep this finger tight, you can tighten it just a little bit to hold it out of your way, so you don't need to have someone hold it for you. All right. Those hinges should be ready to mount. So now what I want to do, I've measured from the bottom of this rail up 4 1/8. So now I'm going to go over to our fence over here, and I'm going to do the same and square that across. Okay. So imagine this was the bottom of our gate. So we're going to keep these the same. So I'm going to measure up. Oops. I'm going to measure up 4 1/8, which is. What is it? Big old tape measure. There we go. Let me double check that. Perfect. Okay. And then the next line will be 39 inches. And that'll be the bottom. Okay. So now we'll just square this across. Hinges go on the inside of your fence. Okay. Okay, this is the part that I recommend you bring a buddy to be able to hold this, okay? Because we are going to set this right here. And if you have someone over there, what I've got here is just, this is basically like a long angle, just a spike or a stake. And just to be sure we're good, I set that stake there, and then I can let go, and it'll hold this just firm enough to keep it at the right elevation that I want. So I'm gonna come down here and look for my line. It looks like I need to come down, so I'm just gonna back my stake out just a pinch. And that was a little too far, so I'll push my stake in. Okay, out. Okay, I got it. This is stamped concrete, so it's got a little rock to it, so I had to adjust. If I press down, it's held perfectly how I want it. Okay, so now without my partner helping me here, I'll just set my knee on this stake to hold it up at the right elevation. I'll press this over so that corner is nice and tight, and then I'll put a screw. Alright. Now before I get too excited, I want to double check. Yep, we're on our line. Okay. We'll get this one in over here. I want to kind of support the back of this post too when I do this. All right. I think you can let go now. Yeah. All right, let me get the other screws in this. This looks like it needs to come in just a little bit. All right, got it. Now that we've got the gate leveled in, I like to do just the eye test here. And I think I want to just try to get kind of the same gap on each side. The gaps are pretty good. I think I want to bring this gap in just a little bit. So all that is a matter of just loosening one of these screws, sliding it over, and tightening the other side. Okay, that just gives you those minor adjustments. And I'd probably go a little bit more. Yeah, a little too much. So I'll loosen the left side and then I'll tighten the right side. That's pretty solid. All right, so I would say these look really good. Almost to the point that we'll get our wrenches and we'll just tighten these down. I think it really helps if this post and this post are perfectly level. And we made sure they were good and plumb. So now I'm just going to tighten these down. That's all there is to it. So on this one I'm tightening down, and my right hand I'm tightening up. It does not tell me that I'm supposed to put any Loctite on these. So I'm just going to tighten these and see how they go. If it's a problem, I can always take these off and I can put lock washers. I could put some Loctite on the threads. I think there's some options for us, but since they didn't send them, I'm guessing it's not a huge problem for them. There we go. It looks like this thread is a stainless steel just by the color. Can't get my wrench on there. These are slippery boogers. All right, so I snugged them up. They're a 3/4 inch wrench, so you can usually pry on those pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna lay out my tools here, and now I'm gonna use my stake to put these things in the shade, because boy are they hot. Okay, our 3/8 bit, I believe we're done with that. I'm gonna take that off. I'm gonna put a Phillips bit on here. I don't know if you can zoom in on that. We're using the Keystone Latch series, two-sided. This will lock on both sides. It's actually got our hinges that we put on there have an automatic close on them as a function. I'll show you what that looks like once we get the latch going. So yeah, let's dive into this. Oops, not deep enough. Try again. We've got this piece right here. I don't know if you'd call that the striker, but that actually mounts to your gate. That's the last thing we'll put on. This is the latch mechanism. This is for the outside of the gate. It's a press button. That's what releases it, and it's got a key. And then on this side, this is the inside, and it's got a latch, which happens to be locked right now. Now, I just read these instructions and did it on the other one. So I'll walk you through this. They give you a template that you use, and they say that whatever height you want your latch, you just place it on the side. So what we did is we said, okay, we're gonna make the top of this latch system the bottom of this rail. So we set it there, and then we're gonna mark all the holes, and we're gonna square this across. So what they recommend, the first thing you do is actually square this across. So we'll do that first. This black rail, I'm gonna go ahead and just draw myself a line across here, okay? You see that, okay?
Yep.
All right, and that's all I need for that. Then I'm gonna set this up here so that this is the top of that. So everything's straight, okay? There's a little arrow right here. I'm gonna draw a small mark, okay? I'm gonna set that jig down, or the template down, and I am going to draw a square line across there, okay? Now, and I do appreciate this, sometimes they send you a piece of paper and you're trying to fold it and all that. I like this a lot better. This is a good process. Now we'll take our marker and we set this right on that line, okay? And then we mark these holes with our marker. I'm using a red marker because it's easier to see. There are 7 holes that you're marking, okay? Then you come on the other side and you do the same thing. You line that perfectly, and then you mark these holes. Okay. Alright, got all those marked. I'm going to turn this gate so that it's not interfering or I don't hurt it. I've got all my holes marked. Now on this template and also in the instructions, it'll tell you these are 1/8 inch holes. Okay. And over here there's 5/8. That's where you need that really big bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill my 5/8 holes first. I know there's 4 of them and I want to focus on that. I don't want to drill them in the wrong spot. So I'll take my 5/8 drill bit. This drill bit's kind of nice. It's got a small end on it, and then basically it's kind of like a step drill type that takes you up to the size you want. So this is perfect for this application. Keeps your bit from walking on you or moving. I try to set my guns when I'm drilling into metal. I set it at a 1. So this drill, I'm just going to set it at a 1. Now I'm going to confirm one more time. The 5/8 holes are basically, because this is going to go in like this, and these pieces need room to be able to turn and twist in there, okay? So I'll double check this again, and I've got 5/8, 5/8, set that right on the center, and then just start drilling. Yeah, these are much smaller and easier to drill. I just set those right on there, on those marks. You don't have to press hard, this is just aluminum. Nicole's grabbing the post and just supporting it. That's really helpful if you have someone that can help you with that. Okay, we've got all our holes drilled out on this. Now, this is the inside, and it has to be the inside. Well, let me get the keys here. In here, I'll just go through some of this. They give you 14 of these, what I would call flush mount screws. Okay, that's what I've been putting in the latch side. And then for the striker, that first piece we picked up, there were 4 of these, and they're more of a pan head. So I'll put those into the striker. That's what I did on the other side. Okay, so there's our screws. In order for this to work, for us to be able to put this together, right now it's in locked mode. So I'm going to stick the key in here. I'm going to turn it, I think, halfway, and it's still locked. So let's try this again. Maybe I've got to go back. Nope. I'll have to figure it. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So I gave it a full turn, and that allows this striker to open, okay? So when you're putting these together, that matters. The other thing that the instructions will tell you is this fits perfectly on the left side, on the inside. If it was on the other post, then that's where you'd need your Phillips screwdriver. I would not use a drill, but you can unscrew these screws in here, and you can just lift this top plate and set it right back down, and now you've got exactly what you need for the opposite hand. So these work for either swinging gate, which is really nice. Okay, then on this side you've got the plunger, and then you've got the lock mechanism. Okay, so they're going to show you, actually I'll show you the graph here. Can you zoom in on this? You measure your post, and our posts are 2 inches by 2 inches, so that would be 2 by 2. It says cut at the 6th inscribed notch, which is from the outside in, or they show it very clearly on this diagram here, okay, which is 3 inches in. So I'm going to take a pair of side cutters. You really do have to squeeze a little bit to get these, but can you see these inscribed notches there? Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. and that's just for the depth of my gate. I'm going to get way out on these pliers. I'm going to give them a squeeze and cut that off. Okay. Then this is the 6th one here. Get back on those pliers and give it a squeeze. All right, now the way they say to do this, you'll stick these in the hole. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And these align. Now if you come around this side, the instructions tell you just double check. This should be a 1/2 inch out and this should be a 1/4 inch out. And that's exactly what I'm seeing. This goes obviously further when you push that plunger. Okay. So now I'm going to take one of these screws and I'm going to attach this thing, but I try to attach these a little bit loosely because not everything's aligned and put together yet. Okay. So I just have that set in there gently. Now I've got to come on this side and get our striker, or our striker receiver in place. So there's a flat knob right here, if you can see that. Mm-hmm. That needs to go into this. Now on the other one, what I found is putting the key in the lock can help, because look, I can manipulate this a little bit. You see that? And that helps me adjust it. So I can just tweak that and it goes right on, no hassle. All right, I'm gonna trust that to stay there a second. I'm gonna get a few screws. All right, so I'm gonna put this screw in lightly as well, okay? So now the hope is everything's gonna work. So we're gonna see if this latch opens when we push the button. It does, and it works very smooth. There is no resistance there, okay? Now, I'll put a couple in, and then I'll check. Okay, nothing's going out of whack. And I would not over tighten these screws. There's no need for that. Everything. Put this one in. Those pre-drilled holes are lining up so nice. The template's really done great. So on this one, to get inside there, I just have a small extension. I think this is a 6-inch extension, so that I can reach under here. So I'll just lift this latch up so I can get my screw in there. Okay, and then this one as well. All right. All right, that's all there is to that. Now we're going to back the actual striker on this fence, or on this gate. Okay, so what they instructed me to do was simply set this striker even. We've got our hinges already adjusted how we like them. Set that striker to what you want, and then you can just push it in. Okay, and then open it and just check it. How does it look? I'm keeping mine towards the top here. The reason I'm going higher is because if the gate does have a tendency to sag, it'll still be in the variance allowed. Okay, so I feel like that looks really good to me. I'm going to take my pencil, because I can't use my marker on this because it doesn't reach into these recessed holes. And I'm going to mark this. Oh no, I moved. Let me come down. Right there. Okay. I'm going to mark this top so I know where I'm at. The center, these are slotted holes. So if you ever need an adjustment, you would just loosen the screws slightly, and then you could slide this up or down. So my marks are dead center of these slotted holes so that I can adjust up or down. But I will say that those hinges are so awesome that I could adjust it really easy with those too. Okay? Now that those are marked, I'm going to continue to pre-drill because I think it really helps with those screws. One. Okay, I think I'll go ahead and take my extension off because it gives me more control. And I'm going to tighten them right in the center again, vertically. Whoa! Got a little crooked on me. Okay. There you have it. Press the button and it opens, and that thing thing is not self-closing or anything right now because we don't have it set, but everything's plumb, which makes it just glide together. So really, really nice. I love this latch system. I'm so impressed. Okay, last thing is they sent us, okay, they give you an Allen wrench and they give you these two little bent pins, okay, and I'm going to show you how to do this. The Allen goes up inside here. On the other gate it was actually the top side, but since we decided to go this way, I don't know which way to go on this just yet, but I know you need to put tension on this, and you can put tension one way or the other. I'm going to try to go away from the gate on this one. If it's down, I'm going to go away from the gate, because when it was up I went to the gate, but I'm going to turn away from the gate, okay, and I'm going to put this little pin in there, alright, and then I'm going to let that just slide in there and stay. Okay, now I can pull this out, and they warn you, push this all the way up in there. Don't go partial, because it's just plastic. Okay, so now let's see if we open the gate. Okay, it looks like it's giving pressure to go out, so that means I went the wrong way. So we'll try the other way. Alright, I'll relieve the pressure. Now I'm going to come back this way, if I can get the Allen to go in there. Alright, give it a little bit of a turn, because it's loose. Now it's tighter. Alright, now we're going to push it. Now I can feel some tension on that, okay? I'm going to turn this. There's actually quite a bit of tension on this, but I'll go ahead and turn this, put that in there. Okay, now we'll see. Oh, see that? Now, what I can tell you is that felt like it closed really fast. So as a person would walk in and open it halfway, let's see if it bounces, because it's really coming in hard. Okay, it's kind of what I was afraid of. I'm going to take a little pressure off this one, just one notch, okay? I'll relieve a little pressure, take it out, and then go to the next hole, okay? Slide that in until there's no pressure, and then just let this walk out, okay? Now you're going to do this on the top and the bottom of the hinge, but you just got to find what's comfortable for you. So this thing now, see how much slower it's going, but still is moving. We'll see if it picks up enough speed to latch itself. Yeah, that's about perfect, okay? Just something to close behind the kids as they come screaming through. I'm going to go ahead and put this one on because I don't want to lose it, but I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on this. Okay, if I can. So I'll stick this in there and pull it out. And this might make the gate go a touch faster because now we've got two hinges pulling. Yeah, it's a lot faster actually. I think I'll take just a pinch off this pressure, if it'll allow me, and keep that pin in there. Alright. Let's run with this. Oops. Good. Alright, and then if I were to press the button on the outside, it opens and closes. And there you have it. All set. They give you 2 sets of keys for each gate. I guess what I didn't do was just check to see if this would lock. So I'll give this a turn down, then a turn back up, and it's locked. So now if I give it a turn down and a turn back up, maybe that's how it unlocks. Yep. So it's just a turn down and then back up for open and close. These keys have numbers on them. So let's hope that my other set has the same numbers. I'm hoping that the, what's the name of that place?
FFC.
FFC out of Cedar Lake. Hopefully they gave me the same coded keys. We can check that real fast. If not, it's okay. Yes, they did. How cool is that? So all of our keys work on both gates. That's really great. So FFC came through. I worked with Josh Wilson out of there and was really impressed with his responsiveness and attention to detail. We're going to go through, put the caps on the top of these, And I'm going to call this fence done.